On this special Shark Week episode of MythBusters, it's a Jaws spectacular. Adam and Jamie put cinema's most famous Chomp Fest to the test. We find out, could a real shark be as strong as Spielberg's Leviathan? Will punching a shark save your skin?
Come on, let's go!
And will a bullet blow a scuba tank sky high? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage?
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
And Jamie Heineman.
I kind of like it in here, it's private.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was intense.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
What are we doing hosting Shark Week, Jamie? I mean, I can't stand the sun and I can't dive.
Well, it's not just to do with sharks, it's to do with the original movie Jaws, which came out in 1975, and we have to either bust or confirm a lot of those little details that you saw in that movie.
Who can forget Jaws, the movie that played on primal fear and made a generation think twice about having a bath? In Steven Spielberg's classic, a big fish with a big dorsal turns swimmers into tasty morsels before finally being blown out of the water by an exploding scuba tank.
Smile, you son of a...
Now, Adam and Jamie are going to put the bite on some of the movie's myths.
We're going to see if punching a shark will actually stop it from attacking you. We're going to test how strong sharks are. And then, my personal favorite, we're going to see if shooting a scuba tank with a bullet will actually make it explode.
The massive great white shark in Jaws exhibits almost supernatural strength and stamina. It keeps 3 flotation barrels submerged for hours on end. It yanks Quint's boat, the Orca, backwards while the engine's running.
Impossible! It's impossible!
It demolishes a shark cage. And it rams a hole in the Orca's hull. But is any of it feasible? Adam and Jamie will put each of those scenarios to the test in true MythBusters style.
One down!
The movie shark displays 2 different kinds of strength. Pulling down the barrels and towing the boat backwards are examples of continuous force. Ramming the cage and the boat, that's shock force.
Adam, what are you doing?
I'm trying to apply some biomechanical force to this rope to see if there's some kind of proportion to my body weight and how much force I can apply on this rope horizontally and what a shark's body weight is underwater and what it can apply to a fishing line, for instance.
By using shock force, Adam and Jamie can exert almost 10 times their body weight.
1,000 pounds. You made 1,000 pounds of lunge.
But on a constant pull, they muster barely half. Is it the same for a shark? Time to collect some hard data. And so we find them making pre-dawn preparations for a little jaunt, armed with seal decoys and a 20,000-pound force gauge.
The next stage basically involves we'll have our decoys out in the water, and we're hoping that a shark will actually grab one. And if he does, we're going to have our big scale on the end of it so we can maybe go right to the source and find out how much pulling strength a shark might actually have. It's not guaranteed by any means, but this is the best place to find out.
But it doesn't look like Adam will find out anything. So much for the old sea dog. Sick as a dog, more like it. The Farallon Islands lie 27 miles off the coast of San Francisco. They're as jagged as the teeth of the great whites that prowl these waters. With Adam still out of action, Jamie deploys the decoys. Then there's nothing to do but wait and talk big fish. Sean Van Summeren is an expert on great whites. He's seen their incredible power and speed.
I've seen 2.5-ton white sharks come flying out of the water and bite big 50, 60-pound bites out of elephant seals and things like that. Things that impressed me as a hugely powerful animal. In terms of withstanding, repeated point-blank shots to the head and dragging several barrels under it, for days on end, and sinking boats and plucking crewmen off the deck and things like that. It's pretty fanciful.
A great white's speed has never been clocked. However, during aerial maneuvers like this, it's estimated they travel between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Unfortunately for the MythBusters, the Farallon sharks are keeping a much lower profile. Maybe the decoys aren't to their taste. Looks like it's on to Plan B. When Adam recovers, that is.
Well, Adam, we're just back from the Farallons, and we have a fundamental problem testing the strength of a great white. We just can't practically or politically or ethically do it. There's only a few hundred of them along the entire west coast of the United States.
Well, I still think it's important to use a real animal to get some shark strength data. So perhaps when we go to the Bahamas, when we're dealing with some other species of sharks, we can do some of these tests with another species, but real sharks nonetheless, and try and get some good results out of that.
The Bahamas?
Come on, everybody, our van's here.
Looks like the gang's off for a little vacation.
So personal to 180.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
The Bahamas are a chain of islands that lie off the southeast of Florida. The waters teem with Caribbean reef sharks. At a maximum length of around 6 feet, they don't bear much relation to the movie monster, but they might still provide some good shark strength data. The guys from the Bimini Biological Research Station have agreed to help. This time, Adam's managing to keep his lunch down. The MythBusters know this brief trip won't yield definitive answers. Still, some figures are better than none. The line is attached to a 150-pound force gauge. When a shark takes the bait, they can measure the amount of force.
Oh, no. There we go. Come on. Pull.
Fight.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Fight. More fight. I got a shock load of about 30 pounds on him, but only a steady pressure of maybe 15. Now,
Each shark is brought in and weighed.
It's pouring still.
50. So it's down to about 50 pounds. Still draining?
Yes. Okay, you're good. Yeah.
okay, what does it
you're
say,
good.
Jamie?
About 45 pounds.
45 pounds. Nicely done. Okay.
Got it? Yeah.
Then they have to subtract the weight of the rig.
About 14 pounds.
Okay, 14 pounds it is.
Sharky.
Got it.
Nice. Oh.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got it.
Went up to about...
Shock load of 70. Steady pull. Pull. 30.
Okay, pull on. Don't let him give it. Don't let him get under there. Oh. There we go. Good.
All right,
Okay.
he's coming in.
He's in place.
He's in place. Are you ready?
That's that purple line.
Okay, back is cinched. Let it go. Okay.
Okay, now's good for the reading.
There you go. That's 70 pounds right there.
Okay, so minus 15.
All right.
So again, he's about pulling his own weight, which is what one would expect.
Got the torque for this back.
The rule of thumb seems to be that sharks can pull no more than their own weight on a shark load, and about 30% of their weight on a continuous pull.
So you ready to go after that big hammerhead now?
Yeah.
The guys will use those two figures as the basis of their shark strength experiments. In the film's climax, the marauding great white backs off briefly after being whacked on the nose with a scuba tank. But would that really deter a 25-foot fish intent on eating you?
What do you got behind your back?
Well, the myth is that if you're attacked by a shark and you punch it in the nose or you jab it in the gills, that you'll frighten it away.
You know, I can't really come up with a way I'd like to test this one.
Well, actually, I have an idea, and that would be to take Buster, our crash test dummy, out into shark-infested waters, cover him with fish offal, like guts and stuff, and have him fend off the sharks with some kind of punching mechanism.
Here we go again, Buster. The punch-drunk dummy will be given a pair of aluminum arms and some specially molded fists, which will be powered by compressed air from a scuba tank. Buster will then be dropped into the ocean wearing a wetsuit full of fish waste. When a curious shark approaches, a neatly timed blast of air will power the punch.
Well, that actually seems like a pretty good plan, Jamie, but you know, a lot's changed since Jaws came out. I mean, a lot of species of sharks are endangered, and I don't think we should just go mechanically smacking away at them willy-nilly. I think we really need to perhaps do some tests using our high-speed camera to see how hard a human can punch and not really exceed that amount. We don't want to hurt any sharks during the making of this show.
It's a very real concern. A shark's snout contains a finely tuned bioelectrical system to help them hunt. Tiny receptors on the nose detect electrical signals, like those from, say, an outboard motor. But if a massive great white is attracted to your runabout, we don't recommend this course of action. For almost 10 years, South African diver Michael Rutson has been not punching, patting curious great whites. Amazingly, he still has hands to do it. And speaking of hands, back at MythBusters Central, Adam and Jamie are trying to find out how fast a fist can move.
What we're about to do is to test the force of a human punch. Adam's going to try and punch me, and before he does that, I'm going to put on this protective suit we call the Red Man suit, because it's red.
Thank you, Jamie. Such insight.
Oh, okay.
Of course, Jamie doesn't need to wear the whole outfit for the test, but if there's one thing the MythBusters love, it's a good dress-up.
Are you ready?
Guys, when you've quite finished, okay, it's time for Adam to live his dream.
Give me your best shot. Come on.
He gets to punch Jamie, all in the name of science.
All right. 3, 2, 1. That was okay, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Okay, ready?
That was a hard one.
3, 2, 1.
Adam's fastest punch is clocked at 20 miles per hour.
Now we got to do force. How much force is behind those punches?
How are we going to do that?
So I was thinking if we took something like a sandbag, a large bag of sand, and we hit it and saw how far it swung, and we were able to replicate that swing, we'd have something pretty accurate. You think we should hang it short or long? I'm going to hold
One of Buster's thighs should make a good punching bag.
Ready?
Ready.
The last time this rig was used, in the Blown Away myth, all of Buster was hanging from it. Well, for a little while.
Ow.
Sorry.
Okay, 3, 2.
Go! Off the end of the scale.
Scale there, Rocky.
Force is mass times acceleration. Buster's thigh weighs 10 pounds. Jamie's punch moves that 10 pounds, 37 inches in a third of a second.
All right, Jamie, so when I threw my punch, my best speed was about 20 miles an hour. And when you actually punched the leg meat here, you made it move about 3 feet with your punch.
Yeah, as long as we recorded all of the exact placements of everything, the camera, the distance traveled and everything, we should be able to replicate it or try to.
Here on MythBusters, it's a Shark Week spectacular as the guys put the movie classic Jaws to the test. Jamie's turning Buster into a shark-punching robot. The fact they were able to use one of his thighs in the force test should be a clue as to his state of health. In fact, it looks like a shark has already had a go at him. Jamie starts work on the arms. Question is, where are they going to find a pair of punching fists? Hey, this is San Francisco. You can lay your hands on pretty much anything in this town.
So you don't get a lot of people coming in and buying these for shark punching?
No, they're not generally sold for shark punching.
These novelty fists have a little too much give and will have to be reinforced. Carrie will have to make some molds, but not before she's had one of Jamie's none too brief briefings.
Too hard to go in and snip out room for this will give us enough surface area. With this attached to it, you can lower down into this, go to put the whole thing together, spend it on the top of that, and you'll just fill it up in an instant. Okay, you all set?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let me know if you have any problems.
Thank you. Jamie's a huge perfectionist, and that's what makes him really good in the industry, but he'll come up to you when you're working on something and just, yeah, that's no good. Throw away a day's worth of work. So get a little nervous about being better than average.
One fist is clenched for punching, the other has fingers extended for jabbing.
So how'd we do?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Good job.
Thank you. I got Jamie's approval.
Meanwhile, Jamie's made a good fist of the arm design.
So I think I figured this out. I'm happy with the design more or less. The next step is to go ahead and cut the aluminum and see whether we can put the mock-up into the metal version. So that'll be the most upward pose. Woo!
Hear that little chuckle? You always get that when things are going to plan.
And there you go. Well, that's a punch. It works. And according to specs, it has plenty of power. It'll be mounted on the shoulder like so.
If you're wondering where you've seen that pneumatic rotary actuator before, Jamie turned a bunch of them into a foot-pounding platoon for the break step bridge myth. They're powerful and simple. They also work well in water. And given that Buster will be submerged when he's punching, they're probably a better idea than electricity. In a previous life, Jamie ran a dive business. Has he had a close encounter of the toothy kind?
While I've been in the water with sharks before, I've never actually had to fend one off. And I honestly don't know what it's going to do. I kind of think that the reaction to a shark, if something actually starts to hit it, is going to sort of be something that's unusual for the shark, and it's going to go away.
Statistically, shark attacks are extremely rare. Worldwide, sharks kill, on average, 15 people a year. Falling coconuts kill almost 10 times that many. But a falling coconut isn't as spectacular. Buster's undergone a complete makeover, from slightly soiled dummy to bionic shark boxing machine. Just one thing, those shoulder pads are so 1985.
He looks like a superhero.
Let's see if his air-powered fists can exert the same force as Jamie.
Okay, ready? That's pretty fast. Let's try to reset it and see what it does.
All right.
At its optimum with the setup the way that it is. All right, you ready? Oops, I hesitated.
But Buster's having trouble landing a punch.
Can you aim it?
Trying.
Aim it a little to your right. No, the other way.
There you go.
I'd say we may well be in the ballpark of.
It looks like we are in the ballpark. At 80 psi, it went about 3/4 of the way up the scale.
Yeah,
and you went all the way to the end of that scale. So
more pressure, we probably get it to go a little faster. We just need to solve the valve problem.
yeah.
The problem currently is with the valve, and while it's a perfect valve, that's nothing wrong with the valve, for some reason it's not designed to exhaust the air that needs to come out the far side of these actuators whenever we work them back and forth.
In other words, air isn't being bled out of the system fast enough. Now, Jamie wanted to keep the rig simple. One lever, one pull, one punch. But it doesn't look like that'll be an option.
You actually have to do it as a two-stage process to be able to open and bleed things in the right way to get the air to flow quickly. The problem with doing it this way is that it's a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. There's an additional thing going on, and we're going to be focusing on punching the shark on cue. So I was trying to avoid it.
Looks like Jamie has some problem solving to do.
What's going on here?
Could a real shark possess the same strength as the great white in Jaws? The MythBusters will recreate 4 separate scenes from the film and put each of them to the test.
I've been given responsibility to build a shark cage that exactly matches the one from the film in every detail: height, weight, size, thickness, everything. What we want to do is actually ram this with a fake shark, and we want to see if a real shark could actually destroy the cage like Jaws did in the movie. I know there are 7 of these bars. I know they're an inch wide each. I've actually done a fair amount of this in movies where they often ask you to rebuild a prop from a previous scene, but they don't have the prop. You've got to look at the scene and sort of figure out exactly how big everything is. So I'm doing that, looking at a bunch of stuff from Jaws.
The other thing they're going to need for the strength tests is a shark-shaped battering ram. Question is, how big should it be? The great white in Jaws is said to be 25 feet long and 6,000 pounds, but science has no record of a shark that big.
One of the most important facts for us to get right for this shark strength experiment is how big do great whites actually get? And the size estimates are all over the map. We've got one from 1945 in Cuba, 21 feet long, 7,000 pounds. Further analysis of the photograph shows that it was more like 16 feet long, and they never actually weighed it.
And then there was Malta in '87, where they supposedly caught a 23-foot shark, but it turns out that based on photos taken at the time, the shark was most likely more like 25% smaller.
The largest great white known to science was caught in 1983 off of Prince Edward Island, and that measured in at 21 feet. But was never weighed.
And then there's this guy named Ralph Collier who wrote a book called Shark Attacks of the 21st Century and is an authority on human interaction with sharks. And he reckons that the largest shark ever recorded was a 19-foot long one that weighed 4,680 pounds. It was actually weighed.
Well, it sounds to me like if we go with an estimate on our shark of being between 17 and 19 feet long, about 3,000 pounds, that's a really good average for a mature female great white shark.
There's no time for anatomical accuracy. Instead, they'll cast a shark head, and the body will be a length of pipe weighing 3,000 pounds. Step 1. Carrie carves a great white head from a great white block of foam.
What's the plan?
We need to smooth this out so that way we can make a fiberglass mold of this and it doesn't stick to this.
That's gonna be a job.
Oh yeah. All right, let's get going.
You wanna help?
No.
No? No?
Then Tori conducts a fiberglass masterclass.
Okay, so far on this little process, we just kind of shellacked, smoothed, and lubed up one side of the shark head, covered it with fiberglass. We're just gonna let it cure overnight, flip it, do the same thing, and then we can fill it and continue on with our molding.
Working with the resin, it's a time-sensitive material. And so with that in mind, you have to work a lot faster. Otherwise it goes off and then you're stuck with something that you can't use.
Meantime, Grant's doing some math.
We're probably gonna aim for about 25 miles per hour. And the weight, based on information from Adam and Jamie, is gonna be about 3,000 pounds. So 3,000 pounds at 25 miles an hour is gonna be, that's gonna be some shark ram.
Well, now I'm turning down the ends of the bars so they actually fit in the cross pieces, and they have to fit pretty snugly.
Adam's finding out that building a shark cage from scratch is no walk in the park.
Oh, I'm a little zoned out. I'm more than halfway there in the machining of these things. Got about 15 to go. Should be done in about 25 minutes or so. Then we'll finally get to see some assembly. There we have a 100% accurate prop reproduction of the Jaws shark cage.
Up she goes.
So I guess now the question is, what kind of shark abuse will this puppy withstand?
And we won't find the answer to that until the build team finishes the shark ram.
All right, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna separate the two halves from the mold. Hopefully we used enough release and this thing will come apart easily. These are the things that I lose sleep over.
Oh yeah!
Nice.
There is one other Jaws myth Adam wants to test, one most people won't be familiar with. So he's off to the piano store?
Well, we're at a piano store because of a deleted scene that was actually in Jaws. It's in the book, and they shot it for the movie but didn't cut it in, where Quint actually visits a piano store to buy what he refers to as number 12 piano wire. As a leader on his line for catching great whites.
4 spools of piano wire, number 12?
Sure. What do those fish do? Eat that stuff?
No, they choke on it.
Technician John Callahan has never had any shark hunters in his piano shop, but he does have the wire required.
That's number 12. Tiny.
Do you have any idea what the breaking strength of this is?
Probably around 300 pounds.
That's it?
Yep.
Like it'll snap after 300 pounds?
Yep. Because of the tension that we put the piano wire at, it's close to breaking tension throughout the scale.
Right.
About 80%. And so there's about 200 pounds of tension on any given wire in a piano.
It's starting to occur to me that with 200 pounds of tension on any given wire and some 200 some odd wires?
30, yeah, somewhere like that.
That's a hell of a lot of pressure.
We got about 20 tons of tension trying to fold the piano in half. That's what this big cast iron frame is for.
Wow. Oh my God.
Back at the workshop, Adam and Jamie set up a simple stress test for the piano wire, involving the force gauge and a forklift.
Well, go for it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
it snaps almost immediately.
It broke 300 pounds. Shockingly, amazingly, it broke at exactly where they said it would. They said it's got a 300-pound breaking strength, and it broke at 300 pounds on the nose. So 300 pounds was the exact kind of wire that Quint was trying to catch Jaws on. And Jaws apparently weighed, what, like 6,000 pounds?
Maybe that's why the scene never made it into the film. Now, how's that shark head looking?
Hey, Dusty, how's it going?
Has this just been a hellacious mold release, or is it just me?
There's no point making the head out of solid fiberglass. A real shark is tissue and cartilage, spongy but firm. The ram will have to feel like the real thing. So it's off to the art supply shop.
It sounds like Jamie has picked a certain rubber that he thinks would most match the shark skin. So we're probably going to go with that.
We actually are looking for a fast-curing polyurethane that can be brushed on. It can be applied really thick so that we can work really quickly and get this shark head knocked out, because we've been working on it for days. We thought it would take a day.
What we've got here is a Goldilocks situation. If the rubber's too hard, the ram will easily penetrate the targets. Too soft, and it'll bounce right off. So it has to be just right.
Mmm, yummy.
It's been a really long day. Tori's really concerned that this mold is not going to release. I can understand his concerns. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to, but I'm trying really hard to be optimistic.
This is like my worst nightmare coming true. Not being able to pull a piece out of a mold. You know, it's like we used the releases that I thought would work. I don't know if it's gonna work. I hear it separating, that's a good thing. Come on, baby. It's starting to come. Hear that?
The result, one rubber and fiberglass shark head.
Huh. That was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be.
Now just paint and attach to a big pipe.
All right.
And you've got
Sharammer!
The MythBusters want to find out, will punching a shark stop it attacking you? Jamie's trying to turn Buster into an air-powered shark punching machine. Meanwhile, one famous shark attack survivor believes that fighting back probably saved his life. In 1963, Rodney Fox was spearfishing off the South Australian coast when he suddenly found himself in the jaws of a great white.
All I remember is this big thing pushing me through the water.
When I was attacked, I knew I was being attacked, and I just thought I should fight it off and do my best to get out of it. And because I actually fought and I grabbed hold of the shark around the belly so it wouldn't bite me, and then I kicked at it and I pushed it off, I believe that helped a lot.
Whatever the reason, Rodney Fox was released and lived to tell the tale. His wounds needed more than 500 stitches.
Well, there you go.
Looks like Buster's ready to come out swinging. Jamie's overcome the airflow restriction, although operating the rig now takes a degree of coordination and timing.
Just kind of balance it. It won't hit you if you're down here. I will steer it. Adam, since you're going to be operating that thing, you might as well operate it.
Is it powered up?
It's powered up, and I will have to hold on to this to aim it.
All right, are you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That was pretty close.
There's only 2 inches difference between Jamie's test punch and Buster's effort. That's close enough.
I mean, the other thing that you were doing when you hit it is you were putting your whole shoulder behind it.
Yeah.
You weren't doing this, like that. And I mean, the fact that it came within 2 inches of your mark, I think that's just perfect.
I think this thing could hurt you. I think we're about to find out whether it'll hurt you.
All right, I'll go put on the suit.
What did I say about dressing up?
Yeah, I can shake a booty in this.
Looks like Buster's got his measure.
Come on, let's go. So, Buster's finally punching. He's doing well. He's got the right speed.
Yeah, the last thing we have to do is hang him over the shark cage or in front of it, because I'll be inside it steering him. You'll be on the surface operating the valves so he punches.
Making him punch, right?
Yeah, and that's about it.
As we know, the waters off Northern California are home to some giant great white sharks. But even the MythBusters would think twice before shaping up to these monsters. Buster will have to pick on something his own size, like, say, a Caribbean reef shark.
All right, looks like it's time to pack Buster's bags for the Bahamas. What do you think he'd wear, shorts or a little thong?
I don't know if Buster has enough actual flesh down there for a thong, but...
He's got no butt at all. In fact, he doesn't even have any legs.
Here we go again. The reef sharks might seem like an easier target, but local shark guru Stuart Cove has some bad news.
You guys all seem to think that Caribbean reef sharks aren't as dangerous as bull or tigers or white sharks. But the Caribbean reef sharks in this region are the most dangerous shark. They are responsible for most of the shark attacks that happen.
That's comforting. Before heading out, Jamie wants Buster to go for a test dive.
So technically, he should be ready to drop.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I can see it's moving pretty fast.
The punching rig is looking shipshape.
We've put Buster through a lot on this show. We've burnt him, blown him up, dropped him off of buildings, but I think this is his shining moment. We've finally given him the gift of movement, and we're gonna put him in with some sharks.
There's just one problem. When air bleeds from the system, there are lots of bubbles, which might frighten the sharks. Adam's answer? Pipe the exhausted air to the surface through garden hose.
Carol, you want to hold those in the air?
Yeah. Come on.
I think the retract looks just as fast as it was before, but the punch looks slower.
How strong is a shark? According to Adam and Jamie's figures, a shark can exert no more than its own weight on a shock load, and about 30% of its weight on a continuous pull. If that's right, then is it possible for a real shark to wreak the same sort of havoc as the one in Jaws? The MythBusters are in the perfect place to find out. A dry dock at an abandoned naval yard. This 38-foot cruiser will play the role of Quint's doomed boat, the Orca. It's similar in size, weight, and construction.
This feels exactly like Quint's boat in the movie.
Start the engines.
I mean, the space in the cabin and all of that stuff, I know they're probably shooting on a set half the time, but it feels exactly right.
We're calling it the Orca 5. I think the 1, 2, 3, and 4 they used in various movies. All the Jaws movies. They even had one with the balsa wood stern so the shark could get up on it easier.
Always wanted to do this. I christen thee the Orca 5. Ew. How the hell do they do this?
It's made of stern stuff, Carrie.
What little girl did you have to beat up for that? Hey, mister!
She's a fan of the show. Hey, Grant, why don't you come in the middle and bite it off and just put it around your waist.
Okay.
Right there. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay. Oh, this isn't bad. It was so fun right up until the part where Grant flew off the dock and into the water.
Almost.
Okay, I'm gonna go for it for the 7th time. Christen the Orca 5. This break!
To comply with environmental regulations, all fluids have to be pumped out of the boat, just in case it sinks. Given the MythBusters' track record, that might be a wise move. When they're around, no vessel remains above the waterline for long.
Okay, stop.
The 3,000-pound sharammer is also ready for action.
Winching up.
And they found the perfect way to tow it through the water.
That is foxy. That is a foxy machine.
Jamie's pickup won't have the necessary traction or acceleration to pull the sharammer, so the guys have called in some military hardware. This is an MTVL, Mobile Tactical Vehicle Light, on loan from United Defense, one of the U.S. military's biggest contractors. 28,000 pounds, 400 horsepower, 0 to 20 miles per hour in 7 seconds.
Well, this is going to be our main drag vehicle for all of our shark experiments. This is heavy enough and fast enough to provide us with the speed and traction we need to pull boats, to pull sharks, to wreck shark cages, and all the stuff we need to do.
But Adam, will they let you drive it?
I don't know if that's in the cards.
Right, down to business. Time to roll out the barrels.
Shark in Jaws exhibited mythical power. And I think there are about 4 different key scenes that we'll need to replicate. The first one being the barrel pull down. And before we can test that, of course, we need to know how big those barrels are.
Well, in fact, I put the word out to my prop geek buddies online, and I was able to procure for us 3 of the original barrels used in the film.
Are those shark teeth marks?
Here's the plan. The barrels are tethered to a concrete block sitting on the bottom of the channel. A length of rope goes from the barrels through a system of pulleys to the force gauge, which is connected to the tank. The tank takes off, the barrels get jerked under, and the gauge registers the amount of force needed to submerge them.
All right, so I took a look around.
Tori's found a block of concrete which fits the bill.
Found this block here. I don't know how much it weighs, but I mean, this should be enough to hold the barrels down, no?
It should be enough to hold the barrels down.
Now they have to get it into the water, which means Adam at the controls of a crane. Look out, Tori.
Everything's under control. I got it.
All right.
Yeah, I learned that just now. I learned this. Oh. What am I gonna do, right? Like oh.
Okay. Maybe that's bad. All right. Okay, then tie up your loose end with this. Just wrap it up nicely with that.
Okay, okay.
If any harm comes to these babies, the owner will have Adam over a you know what.
The only thing we're told we can't do is burn them blow them up or lose them.
Has he watched the show?
Looks like it's all yours.
You're gonna meet us over here at the block.
Yeah.
Here they come, Jamie.
Okay, we need one more shackle. Be right back.
I'm coming up to operate the crane.
Yeah.
I think we're on the bottom.
Speed isn't important on this test. All they need is for all 3 barrels to be submerged.
So Jamie, is that ready to go?
Yeah, why don't you let me get out of the way here, and if you can put some manual tension on it, see whether it seems like it's all clear, okay?
All right.
Okay.
The barrel line is fed through the pulleys.
Okay, you want to pull on the tank line there?
Yep.
Does that look right?
Yeah.
And tied to the force gauge on the rear of the tank.
All right, so I think we're ready.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Adam monitors a feed from a camera mounted above the force gauge. Ready, set, sink.
$1,500 right there. Are they under, Carrie?
They are just under.
Just about 1,200 pounds.
We have 1,200 pounds.
All right. I think we can back up. That's a good test.
You ready to back on the slack?
Hold on, I want to take a look.
What?
Ah, look at that. They're all the way under.
They're just about like that much under the surface.
Well, let's back it up and we can finish this up. Great.
Okay. Woo!
Yeah! One down. The barrel test. How much force would it take to sink 3 of the barrels from the movie Jaws below the surface of the water? Worked perfectly. My estimation of about 1,300 pounds was very close. It turned out to be just over 1,200 pounds to keep it under the surface. The test showed that your average real-size shark, between 17 and 19 feet, between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds, just would not have the strength to hold these barrels under the water. It might be able to pull them under briefly, but he would not be able to keep them there.
That's Shark Strength Round 1 to the MythBusters.
Oh, yeah!
In Jaws, Brody buys himself some time by hitting the shark with a scuba tank. In the real world, this is a commonly held belief that when a shark attacks, offense is the best form of defense. Now, Adam and Jamie are about to send Buster into battle.
Two sharks right below us.
We really want these sharks to come right in to Buster. We need to have them think of Buster as dinner. And so we've got to really motivate them, get them all worked up. That means probably baiting the area, and in particular baiting Buster, having him exuding fish essence.
I'll tell you, looking at all these sharks in the water, if Buster was a real boy, he'd be absolutely terrified right now.
Buster's being turned into a smorgasbord. Step 1, put on his wetsuit. No mean feet when he has no feet. Then pack the wetsuit with juicy morsels, sure to have the sharks licking their chops. Metaphorically, of course. Sharks don't have tongues.
I still think that shark fighting Buster might end up being like punching this way while sharks are eating his ass. But I think if he actually gets contact, the shark's gonna go right away.
Buster's got more hose than a lingerie store. What if a shark gnaws through it? Will he be sent down to Davy Jones' locker?
Well, if Buster's umbilical does get cut and he goes to the bottom, I mean, hell or high water, we're gonna get him back out. We leave no man behind on MythBusters, man.
Yeah.
Jamie will be holding on to Buster through the bars of the shark cage, so he'll be modeling the latest chainmail. But he won't be going alone. Stuart Coves agreed to join him in the cage.
Jamie, you look really hot in that chainmail.
Jamie needs both hands to operate Buster, and he can't be pressing the communicator on his Eiger mask. So could you get in the tank with him with an Eiger mask and communicate to me when I need to operate the punching mechanism?
Yes, of course. So when they swim up towards Buster, I just push the button, say, punch.
Carrie, I forgot one thing. I should probably take my glasses off first. Can you find a safe place for him?
So, Jamie aims Buster, Stuart signals Adam, and Adam fires the punching rig. Not exactly the simple setup Jamie had in mind. The shark could be halfway to Florida before Buster takes a swing.
Stuart, is there any kind of possibility for stuff getting out of control with this thing? I mean, we're going to chum the heck out of the water here, right?
Yeah, it's definitely going to get out of control, but we're in the cage. So the only problem we may have is if, one of the sharks, the little ones, gets inside the cage.
Okay.
Buster goes overboard.
We've got a robot in the water. He's stuffed with tuna, and it's just another day here at MythBusters. Ask him how that went.
How are those two deafening blows? Over.
Those look just like they were in the show. They're very aggressive. Over.
I guess we're ready for some sharks. Over.
Standing by. Over.
They're coming.
Airing up.
Airing up. Over.
Go ahead.
Punch!
Initially, Buster's a little slow to react. The sharks seem cautious, but soon the fishy waft from his wetsuit has them fired up. Buster has a real fight on his hands.
Oh my God. This is more fun than should be allowed.
The reef sharks do shy away when punched or poked, but they don't stay away for long. A shark shoots up from below and grabs Buster's arm.
Okay, that was pretty intense. We just had a punch delivered dead on to a shark, and it ripped Buster out of my hands while he was wrestling with the shark. Over.
While boxing Buster is working well, he's still a little hit and miss. Remember, the myth says that punching a shark in the nose, eyes, or gills will stop it attacking. Not sure how often Buster's finding the mark.
It's killing me not being able to see down there. It totally has killed me.
The smell of the bait is making them bolder.
They're giggling. I can't even hear them.
Oh, bump the camera. Whoa!
I just got one of those "what the hell am I doing" moments. Over. Okay, get ready. They're coming in. Over.
I mean, this does bring up the point of if you're underwater being attacked by a shark, what alternative do you really have? I mean, I don't think they're deterred by screaming.
That was amazing.
Sometimes the sharks would just come in and get a hold of him, and they were like completely swallowing his hands Well, I'm going, punch. You know, it's like,
and he's just shaking the shark.
I just let him go, and he's out there swimming around by himself, punching and.
The conquering hero returns, bearing the scars of battle.
See, look at this. Look at all these bites around the wrist. That means he swallowed the hand. He's just like ripped to shreds.
And so is his fish-filled wetsuit.
It's quite obvious that they're very skittish. They don't like to be challenged. And if you give them a good rap, they're likely to go away. So I think it's actually impressively plausible.
But the MythBusters haven't traveled all the way to the Bahamas to leave it at that. Now they've seen the sharks in action, they're already planning their next bout.
Clearly, I think we might be slipping on MythBusters. I mean, the robotic shark punching buster worked perfectly the first time out.
Yeah, you know, it showed if the sharks were really motivated to go for you, you know, like really attack you, that was their focus, because he was all chummed up and they wanted him, that you might as well go after him. You might as well punch him. What else are you going to do?
Because it really actually did something.
Yeah, it fended him off.
Yeah, but I still think that we need to do a little more testing with this myth. I mean, clearly after what Stuart said, it sounds like if you punch the shark, they're going to come at you more aggressively. I think that we might have to take this a step further and get into the chainmail and have one of us, not me.
Not me.
Clearly Jamie.
That would be me.
Get down there in the chainmail and punch them personally.
And see if they get more riled up by punching, and if punching is actually worse than not punching. Are you willing to do it?
You know what they say, when you're swimming with sharks, you're going to get bit.
All right, guys. You know we have to have one explosion per episode, and this one is a classic. The question is the end of the movie Jaws actually feasible? When Brody stuffs the scuba tank in the shark's mouth and fires a rifle right in its end, will it explode with enough force to blow the shark to smithereens?
Smile, you son of a...
Okay, clearly this is going to be extraordinarily dangerous. I mean, we got to figure out a way to protect ourselves. Do you have any plans?
Well, actually, I do. My thought was to get a hold of one of those shipping containers, the big steel things, and if we put the scuba tank inside that, and we take our gun and mount it also inside that, but make it able to fire remotely, so we'll hook a motor or something up to it and run a wire way far away, we should be able to operate this safely.
Okay, I gotta go take my refresher dive course anyway down at Bamboo Reef. So while I'm there, why don't I check out the specs on some of the tanks, see what kind of pressures we're dealing with.
And I also might have a connection to at least getting a hold of the actual tank from the film Jaws.
Shut up.
I might.
In the book version of Jaws, the great white meets a different fate, dying after being harpooned by Quint. And author Peter Benchley wasn't happy about Spielberg's explosive climax. The director was adamant when Brody squeezed that trigger, the villain of the piece was going to go up like an oil refinery. But Benchley thought that having the scuba tank explode when shot was unbelievable.
He said, "I don't care." He said, "If I have got them for 2 hours, they will believe whatever I do for the next 3 minutes because I've got them in my hands and I want the audience on their feet screaming." At the end, yes, yes, yes.
What Audiences Got was one of cinema's most memorable finales.
We're here at Bamboo Reef. Our old friend Sal has 45 years in the business, so if anybody's going to know about exploding scuba, it's going to be him.
There's no question that a scuba tank carries a lot of energy. Inside each cylinder is enough air to fill a phone booth, about 80 cubic feet. The air's a mix, 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. The air is stored under enormous pressure, 3,000 psi, or 204 atmospheres. It's estimated that a single tank carries 1.3 million pounds of explosive force. And that's what Adam and Jamie want to unleash.
These tanks are aluminum tanks and they're filled to 3,000 psi.
3,000 psi.
Right, which basically makes the tank a walking bomb.
Really?
In almost half a century of diving, Sal Zamides had hundreds of these walking bombs on his back.
But the tanks are very, very safe. They won't explode unless you do something really radical to them.
But with 7 million scuba tanks in use in the United States, accidents do happen. In 1998 in Florida, dive shop technician Chris Hawkins lost part of his hand when an aluminum tank exploded. He was checking the tank's air pressure when it suddenly ruptured. The explosion destroyed the filling station and damaged a large part of the building. The cause was traced to a failure in the tank's aluminum alloy.
So do you think you can blow the head off a shark with one of these tanks the way they did in Jaws?
If you could set it up right, you probably could, but it wouldn't be the tank itself, I don't think, that would blow the shark's head off. I would think it would be the release of all of that pressure, the air pressure, that would actually do the damage.
Now, here's something interesting. A cross-section shows the bottom of a regular aluminum tank is very thick. Too thick for a bullet to penetrate, perhaps.
In Jaws, they shot from the bottom. That's the thickest part of the aluminum tank.
Yes, they did, and I think the reason they did that was to make it more plausible that the bullet would hit a flat surface as opposed to hitting a round surface and maybe glancing off.
Now, if you're going to set off more than 1 million pounds of explosive force, it's a good idea to do it someplace very big and very empty. And what do you know? These guys might have the answer.
We have a project that we're working on. We may not need the building anymore. So I thought it'd be perfect for you guys.
This is surprisingly not an unusual set of circumstances. People seem to be calling us these days when they want bad things to happen to their stuff.
And blowing up a scuba tank could be very bad. So bad, in fact, that extreme measures will be called for.
We've done a lot of explosions on this show, but usually we're hiring a pyrotechnician to do this, somebody that knows exactly what they're doing with a particular type of explosive or chemical. In this case, we're doing something that has no precedent. There's no practical purpose for blowing up a scuba tank. There's no expert at what is safe to do when you blow up a scuba tank. So the only people that we know that can help us in making sure that we're doing something that's reasonably safe as far as the neighborhood and ourselves is the bomb squad.
And for that reason, this place is deemed too close to civilization. So thanks, guys, but you'll have to find some more conventional way of demolishing your warehouse.
Carrie, how did the tank research go at Bamboo Reef?
Well, Sal actually reckons that they used an aluminum tank, but early 70s they also had steel tanks, and I'm not sure which one they definitely used in Jaws.
Actually, I called in a favor. You know, I've got some prop geek buddies out there, and I managed to obtain one of the actual tanks used in the shooting of Jaws. It's actually been signed by Richard Dreyfuss. Jamie, you want to tell me what kind of tank this is?
Well, this is the most common type of tank that we would use these days. This is an aluminum 80. This is actually pretty good because part of this myth is about showing what would happen if you blew up a tank this way. And I understand these things have about 1 million, or actually it's 1.3 million pounds of explosive force. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds like a lot. So this is going to be fun.
Our scuba tank will have to be clenched in the jaws of a great white shark. As well connected as he is, Adam can't get hold of the one used in the movie. So he's going to make his very own.
We're working on making basically a mock-up shark's head to put this tank into when we explode it. I'm just still framing through the movie Jaws to take a look at some of the basic measurements of the shark's mouth to try and duplicate the dimensions correctly. I'm using a technique called additive foam buildup, which involves using upholstery foam like this, which is just like a 1-inch urethane foam, and some contact cement, which is exactly how they made Muppets, in fact, to make this shark's head. I've got a sample over here that I prepared earlier.
It's a pretty good technique for making sharks.
The other question is, what are they going to shoot the tank with? It seems like they're spoiled for choice.
You know, I reckon that our arsenal at MythBusters has gotten pretty respectable over the years. I mean, we started with the Carcano from Ice Bullet. We got the Enfield from Son of a Gun. We got the 9mm from Explosive Decompression, and the crossbow from, what was that, Card of Death.
I'm so surprised you don't have the actual weapon from Jaws.
Yeah, the Carcano is probably the closest one of the ones that we have, but I think it's time that I pay a visit to our local friendly gun shop.
After closely looking at stills from the movie, Jamie thinks he's identified the weapon brandished by Brody.
We've chosen the 30-06 because as near as we can tell by looking very carefully at the movie, it's the same type of weapon that was used to shoot the scuba tank.
The guys at the gun shop agree. This war vintage M1 Garand uses a 30-06 rifle cartridge. And it's starting to dawn on Jamie that he's staring down the barrel of one dangerous challenge.
It may be a 1 in a million chance, but the fact is, if that weapon goes off when it's in the right position, I'm dead.
I got it! Whoa. Whoa, dude, you really ate your Wheaties this morning.
The MythBusters have already sunk one Jaws myth. Now, it's time for the second shark strength test. For this experiment, the Orca 5 will be connected to the tank and yanked backwards. To replicate the scene successfully, the boat will have to be pulled back so fast that waves break over the stern.
I can't hold it!
So Adam, we're getting into the vehicle right now and getting ready to saddle up. How far away are you guys, over?
Adam is standing by, in position.
All right, well, I'm in place. I'm strapped in. Carrie, are you in place? Are you online here?
I'll be ready to record on your signal.
Jamie dons his safety officer's beret.
Jamie, I need everybody that is non-essential personnel up here around the transport vehicle to get behind a car or away from this area. We don't want to have anybody that's exposed to any kind of rope snaps at all. Over.
Go, just go. We're ready, everything's in position. Let's just go.
Okay, we're about to fire up the engine. Stand by. Okay, go ahead. We're going ahead.
And the Orca 5 sets sail, full steam behind.
Holy.
The tank hits 25 miles per hour, the estimated top speed of a great white shark. The force gauge trembles between 4,000 and 8,000 pounds. And Orca 5's maiden voyage comes to a sudden end.
Stop, stop, stop!
Oh, shoot! Okay, I got two here. Yeah.
Come on! Woo! That was awesome. That was beautiful.
It was an action replay of the movie. A cleat was wrenched out.
Jamie, that was so hard to read. It was rumbling between 4 and 8 like this, and then it just goes boosh.
We got it up to 8,000 though, right?
Oh, baby, did we get it up to 8,000?
All right, well, let's see what happened.
Hey, that wasn't half bad.
The angle iron? No, that looks good.
What kind of reading did you get?
And then bash.
And then it snapped.
8,000 though.
Did the rope break?
I don't know if the rope broke. I think a cleat broke. I heard something go kapow.
Okay.
So I suspected a cleat ripped off the back. We're going to inspect it right now.
Well, let's climb out of here.
Nicely done.
Wow.
But that actually proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Jaws shark could not have dragged the Orca backwards until water splashed over the stern, because it would require it to exert more than double its own weight. And we didn't find a single shark that could do that.
So that's MythBusters 2, Jaws, Zip. Later, the Sharammers dead on target when the MythBusters tackle the movie's remaining strength scenes. Back at base, work on the exploding scuba tank myth continues.
So it's got some structure, but it's going to need some more.
Adam's Muppet Maneater is nearing completion. It's just like the real thing, only cuddly.
Ta-da! Doesn't that look good?
Looks awesome.
There you go. You know, I also want to do a different part of this myth, which is to actually set up a rig with like a sledgehammer where we can remotely let the sledgehammer swing down and knock the valve off a scuba tank. Will that make it explode, or will that just turn it into a rocket, or will it just make it go psss for a while?
Adam sets about building a scuba tank guillotine.
The tank goes in here with its valve exposed in this tube. The tube gets lifted up above here and dropped by Raymond. And hopefully it'll break off the valve and my work will be done.
Time to insert an empty scuba tank and see if he can knock its head off.
I'd say there's a strong possibility that it's just going to bend it down rather than bust it off, and I don't know what the pressure difference is going to do. I would presume that the pressure would have something to say about that when we do the real thing, but I guess we'll have to figure that out when we come to it.
Yeah.
The execution is perfect.
Well, that did the job.
Yeah,
and look at that tiny hole that is a perfect jet nozzle size. And it's embedded in the wood.
The MythBusters have found the perfect place for scuttling scuba tanks. A disused Air Force base miles from any innocent bystanders. Although a couple of innocent bystanders seem to have followed.
You don't know how much this means to me.
I don't have mine on.
I
Do you have one? Oh, there
have
we
Sharpie
go.
or Good Tape. Your dad is gonna die.
The big guns have been wheeled out to supervise this big bang. The FBI's using it as a training session. Frank Doyle Jr. was a terrorist crime scene investigator. The Oklahoma bombing, the Unabomber, the attempted assassination of President Ford. He was in the thick of it all. He's also been in the thick of MythBusters before. Frank helped out when Adam and Jamie blew up a perfectly good cement truck. Frank specializes in improvised explosive devices, and they don't come much more improvised than a scuba tank in the mouth of a foam shark.
Well, we've been very careful to place the container and anchor it so that there's substantial concrete on the outside of it. We have a large dirt berm over here on the other side. Again, safety is paramount in all of this kind of research or myth busting.
Here's what they're going to do. Fred the foam sharks at one end.
That looks awesome.
Jamie's remote firing gun rig is set up with the rifle positioned to fire at point-blank range.
Yeah, so it's held up here. There you go, that's it.
First, a test. They give Fred an empty scuba tank to chew on, just to see if a bullet can pierce the thick aluminum bottom. Adam's tip?
We were able to put one of those bullets through 2 layers of bulletproof Lexan, but it's 2 inches of aluminum. I mean, it's a lot stronger stuff. I don't think it's going to make it through the bottom. I think we're going to end up firing it, seeing that it doesn't work, and going right through the side.
If he's right, that'll be MythBusted right there. Jamie loads a round into the rifle.
Guns loaded. Say when.
Go for it.
And 3, 2, 1.
I think it went off.
That's fun.
Lucky Adam didn't have any money riding on that result.
Gonna pull it
That
out.
went right through.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Wow.
So, amazingly, that part of the myth is totally plausible.
Yes, indeed. Now we get to see what will happen with it under pressure.
Jamie's agreed to take the plunge and put the shark punching myth to the ultimate test.
We're out here at a new location. It's much farther out, and these sharks are wild. They're much more aggressive. They're swirling around the boat right away when we landed or when we dropped anchor here. And you know, it's got me a little concerned.
Buster was punching some pretty well-fed, well-trained sharks out there at the 2-mile mark. We're way farther out here, and these sharks are, from what we've seen this morning, a lot more aggressive, a lot quicker to go right for the food that they're interested in. And there could be, you know, some confusion and some danger involved. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I would completely support Jamie if he said no way.
I'm a little worried. I don't really want Jamie to go down there and do that. Watching those sharks, they're way more aggressive, and I'm actually really nervous. If I was in charge, I wouldn't put him down there.
But Carrie, wasn't it your idea?
Have one of us, not me.
Not me.
Clearly Jamie. Come on, would you want to hurt that guy? Look at him.
The worst case scenario with this would be, say if one of the animals got a hold of my arm and started to thrash, they could potentially break it.
If I see a shark coming up with a beret, I'm going to be mad at you.
Here's the plan. Jamie and Stuart will dive to the seabed with a full bait box. Jamie, wearing chainmail, will then try and guard the bait against an army of hungry sharks using only his fists.
Hurt me. Go ahead.
So it's like Tron.
Some headgear might come in handy too.
You're wearing it just kind of like you wear your beret, kind of off to the side, so you might be more comfortable that way anyway.
It's tilted the wrong way, though.
I know. Oh, is that going to throw you off if it's tilted the wrong way?
Now, Adam can't dive because of an ear problem. Lucky then that the crew have brought along a bubble sub, a personal submersible that can be piloted by someone who doesn't have a dive ticket. Air from a regular tank is pumped into the bubble. Jamie and Stuart take the bait to the bottom.
Microphone text. Respond back to me if you can hear me. Over.
I can hear you fine. This is Jamie. Over.
Roger that. Over. Are the sharks coming at you?
All around us.
Right. Let the battle commence.
Okay, the sharks are all around them.
Several of them right in the nose, and it moves them away okay.
He said he punched him right in the nose, and one of the sharks moved away, so he isn't eaten yet.
Where Buster's strikes were random, Jamie's are precise, sticking to the areas specified in the myth. He's also using very little force. It's soon obvious that Jamie's punches aren't making the sharks more aggressive.
Stuart's pulling out some bait. Over.
He's pulling the bait out.
He tried to liven it up because I think I was kind of doing too good a job of fending these sharks off. But things are about to change.
Adam has a ringside seat, just out of the danger zone.
Well, I can tell you at this point, my knuckles are a little raw. Over.
Jamie, have you done enough punching to come up with a result? Over.
bit. I'm a little busy right now. Is that their noses are really hard. They're quite hard. I mean, hitting them is like hitting bone. And secondly, I can tell you that I'm definitely defending this bait box. The more aggressive I get with punching them, the more they go away. Over.
Plausible at this point? Over?
Well, I definitely don't see that punching them is making them angry. I mean, I'm defending this and they seem to be responding. They know I'm guarding the bait box and they're not coming in as tight as they were. Of course, I suppose that all we have to do is start to spread chum around or let loose a fish head or two and things get a little crazy. But it seems at this point that, you know, they know I'm guarding the bait box and they're reacting to it.
I want to watch this. I'm done communicating. This is hilarious. Now that he's not so scared, it's a little less evil.
That was great. I was right down on the bottoms, sitting right next to Jamie. They're just swimming around. I mean, it's obvious they don't like even being poked. I mean, you could really pretty much do this and get the same result.
The front of the shark, the nose, is like bone. I'm sure it's cartilage instead, but it feels like bone. So hitting that's kind of like unsatisfying. It's just, you know, knock, knock. So, they don't respond to it too much either. Punching in the soft sides along the gills or whatever, you can do it, and they seem to actually respond to it. I felt like I was actually defending the bait box by punching at them. I did not feel them like getting angry at me or...
All right, so shark punching, busted, plausible, or confirmed?
I would have to say plausible. I don't think it's 100% way to defend yourself depending on the circumstances. But I tell you what, if you get bit by a shark and they're going for it, I'd be punching at them.
Yeah, I think I'd be punching at anything that was biting me.
There's no record of a great white ever attacking and smashing a shark cage. But when you look at the size of some of them, it's easy to imagine. Down at the dock, it's time to move on to the shock force tests.
I'd say that's as pretty as you please.
The Sharammer's going into action. The Sharammer will be hooked up to the personnel carrier, which will then deliver its payload head-on at a speed of 25 miles per hour. The result should look something like this. Even with a steel dorsal fin, the Sharammer doesn't look as scary as Bruce, the fake shark in Jaws, but it is more like a real shark when it comes to weight and buoyancy. These fittings allow water in and air out.
Well, our Sharkpedo is rapidly achieving neutral buoyancy. We're a little bit away from that. And when it's ready, we're gonna drag it down this channel as fast as we can, up to about 20 miles an hour, right into the shark cage. And that'll be shark strength, shock force, test number 3.
But hold your horses, Adam. It's all gone belly up.
We're about to get our safety lines on. Just 1 second away, and that back end started to go. So once it started to go, it started to, all the sandbags slid to the back, and it just became this cascade effect. It was very quick.
Submarine designers won't be beating a path to Grant Store. Water is used as ballast on subs, but it's stored in tanks, not left sloshing around the floor. They salvage the shark, drain it, and try again, this time with the water compartmentalized in 3 barrels.
Swinging out. Telescoping. Out. Okay, down it goes.
Take 2. Whoops.
Ah, crap. Up, up, up. Lift it up. Okay, stop. Stop. Whoa! Down.
And we've lost the shark head.
We have a bit of a situation down here with the shark again. Do you want to just come and please give us your advice? Over.
On my way, over.
Interesting. All right, let's pull it all the way out, lay it back down, and we'll repick it.
Oh, Lord. Now what? Any ideas what's going on with it?
The amount of water it takes to get it neutrally buoyant makes it really unstable.
While the ram is drained again, Adam delivers a little physics lecture.
If you want a pipe to be buoyant and horizontal, you have to have more than half of it be air. And the problem with us is we used water as a ballast, which meant we filled it up close to the halfway point, and then the water will just rush to one end and the thing will sit upright, and that's no good for us. We needed to sit horizontal.
This time, the pipe is left empty. And what do you know? It sits perfectly. Finally, we're good to go.
So we're about to do shark strength test number 3. Will the shark actually wreck a shark cage? Oh! I tell you, I don't think we've done a myth where we've had this many setbacks and still managed to pull it off.
I measure the shark to be about 513 feet away from the target.
All right, here we go.
We're standing by to start the track vehicle, over.
The ram is the same length and weight as a mature great white. It's about to become a jawpedo.
We're waiting on your signal to go.
Okay, we're go.
The MTVL will stop at a preset distance, so the rope goes slack before the collision. That means the charrammer is not being towed, but traveling under its own momentum when it strikes the cage at 25 miles per hour, the estimated top speed of a great white shark.
Yeah!
Man, was that close to going in the drink.
Well, that was cool. It flipped around a little bit, but it, it did what it would do. I mean, and we had an impact.
There's part of the cage on the charrammer. I didn't see it before. The shark took part of the cage out. Look at that.
So, look what's on the shark.
Is that a piece of the cage?
It's like it went right through it.
Bullseye!
The ram is undamaged. Adam's cage, on the other hand...
I mean, obviously it's such a massive amount of force, but really we've not seen any evidence. It's all based on estimation, the 25-mile-an-hour mark. There's no data that shows the shark swimming that fast.
Nor is there any information that shows that a shark actually made it into a cage. Like, that they actually penetrated a cage.
Yeah.
That's MythBusters 2, Jaws 1. Time for the final test. In Jaws, the ferocious fish springs a surprise, not to mention several leaks, when it rams the orca. Outside of Hollywood, there's no record of a shark ever attacking a boat this big. Nevertheless, this grand old lady's gonna get a grand old pummeling. To maximize the damage, the Orca 5 is positioned so that the sharammer will hit the flattest part of the hull.
Okay, go!
The military hardware launches a final assault. £3,000 connects at 25 miles per hour.
Oh, camera in the water!
That's the perfect hit. Now, I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't go all the way through it, but
My shark went belly up, but it definitely pierced the side.
It's a MythBusters first. The experiment's finished, and the boat still floats.
This, I think, it's definitively plausible that 3,000 pounds of shark could make some damage to your boat, even though no great white has ever been caught sinking a boat of this size.
yeah, you get a big fish going real fast. What do you expect?
After all this shark strength testing, what are our final results?
Well, clearly an average-sized great white could not pull a boat backwards. And, I mean, even though a great white could probably pull those barrels down, it couldn't keep them down there as it was in the movie.
Not continuously.
Not continuously, no.
So those two are busted.
Those two are definitely busted.
But on the other hand, we showed that a great white could work its way through a shark cage, probably depending on how it was built, but it went right through ours. And it would also be conceivable that a shark could, given the right circumstances, plow through a wooden boat hull.
Well, then I would call that MythBusters 2, Jaws Shark Myths 2. That's 2-all. Yeah?
Time to put the exploding scuba tank myth under the gun. We know a bullet can penetrate a tank's thick aluminum base. But that tank was empty.
Next, we got one charge tank. This one should be somewhat exciting.
This tank contains 80 cubic feet of compressed air stored at 3,000 psi. Now, there's a slim chance the bullet might damage the tank, but not actually rupture it. If that happens, the FBI will have to blow it up. A strip of C4 is taped to the tank. C4 explosive is inert, and so won't be set off by the bullet. Right, we're locked and loaded.
I'm ready.
Any more bold predictions before we pull the trigger?
I'm ready!
I think we're going to poke a hole in it. I think there'll be a really loud noise or maybe even a little bit of a rupture, but I don't believe this is going to be like a bomb going off.
What I'm hoping for is to come around the corner and find the container bowed out in every possible way from the force of the blast.
Now, if everyone could just cower behind the nearest masonry.
Starting the trigger now.
The tank took off like the proverbial rocket. Propelled around the container by a jet of compressed air.
It looks like it collected a little paint from the red primer.
Hey, Sharky's still alive. We got a beautiful shot right dead center of the bottom of the tank. The tank did not actually split all the way open. In fact, it shot like a rocket and bounced around in here and tore up some of the back of our Sharky, but didn't explode.
So is this myth, like the shark in Jaws, dead in the water? Not quite.
Given the vagaries of movie editing, One could posit that the bullet entered the side of the tank at the end of Jaws, and I'm sure if we didn't do it, our fans would take us to task for not trying that. So we're going to do that before we call this myth totally busted.
Will a bullet blasting right through the sides of a tank cause a more explosive reaction?
And then you aim right for there.
Poor old Fred is force-fed a fresh tank.
In 3, 2, 1! I don't know, it sounds like it might have been the same thing.
That's not an explosion, that's a hole.
I don't know that we've ever completed one so fast before. I don't know what to do with the rest of the day.
It's the same result as before. The tank ricocheted around. The bullet didn't make it all the way through.
There's the first hole, and there's the dent for the other hole.
Dent there?
The hole is just too small. You know, the metal in this case is strong enough to hold itself together to withstand an impact, even with all that pressure behind it, without rupturing the tank.
Unfortunately, this test has made Adam's scuba guillotine redundant. Knocking the valve off a tank will have the same result as shooting a small hole in it.
That means that the shear test really isn't necessary because the hole size is about the same. The effect would be about the same.
Yeah.
This is MythBusters, so next, we have to make an explosion. We're just gonna blow up the tank.
It's the FBI's moment of glory. Another full tank is placed in position. This time, the C4 will be remote detonated.
Fire in the hole!
I didn't know they really said that.
Now that's more like it. The shockwave knocked over light stands, and there's a nice dent in the container.
Whoa! That's amazing.
And as for Fred,
Anybody up for sushi? So, do you guys think under any circumstances a bullet would do this?
No.
No.
Well, no, we're talking speeds of the explosion here, and almost 29,000 feet per second versus whatever your round was.
3,000 feet per second for.
What about an explosive round? It ain't happening with a gun. And, worst he would have gotten is that shark would have swam backwards pretty quick for a few seconds.
This is actually a lot like our explosive decompression story in that a small hole does not a catastrophic failure of the structure make. Just like on an airplane that can manage the pressure even with a bullet hole in it, these tanks don't turn into bombs when you fire bullets into them. They turn into rockets. The final sequence of Jaws, I'm sorry to say, is totally busted.